So the constant thing, I always feel like I'm really not a tech person. And then I'm always learning these new things that I should try to do for the tech stuff to make it better. And then I don't do it right. And then I end up lost in this. It's fine. So I was like many of us, I was not given an instruction manual for going about this whole being human thing. And I lament that often. However, Carl Jung used to take the psychologist Carl Jung. He used to get letters from folks back when he was amongst us living, and he would get questions from them about like how to be like self-actualized and how to have like a good life. You know, he's been a really good mentor to folks as to how to like kind of how to navigate this thing. And she sent in this letter, and it was basically just asking him like, how do you do everything? Tell me everything. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so lost. He basically responded to her and said, "Dear Frau, I cannot tell you, for I also do not know. All we can do is the best that we can do. And because we do not know, we will eventually screw up. That is inevitable. But then when that happens, there's what he said is a lot like the statement that they use in recovery programs: do the next best thing, do the next right thing, because there's always going to be a point in which you're going to need to move forward. And so it's being able to redirect. So it's like if I'm in my physical yoga practice and all of a sudden I notice my alignment's off, or like, you know, this placing of my limbs isn't exactly where like, oh, it should be, then you adjust it. And what's right for your body is going to be different than what's right for your body, especially day to day. And so we just work with the best that we can. And that's our practice. There's a Neitzsche quote: "No one can build you the bridge on which you and only you must cross the river of life."
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. I'm with you, Ruth. I am going to mute you real fast because I love hearing you, but it gets weird in the recording. Okay. So yeah, I want to do a little flow today that might kind of confuse us, honestly, but like just being willing to kind of be present in that and the constant shifting, and then we'll get some good hamstring stretches in. And we'll start with face brushing. So index finger and thumb together at the center of your forehead. Just brush outwards towards your temples a few times. And then going from the sides of your nose out to your temples. And then underneath your chin, going in and out a little bit. And then in between the corners of your nose and the corners of your mouth, just press in for a moment. And take your fingertips back behind your ears, lifting up from the bony spot behind your ears. And then letting your hands rest down into your lap. If it feels comfortable to you, close your eyes or just find something in front of you to take your focus to. As you take a few deep breaths and settle into this body. Take another deep breath in through your nose. Big exhale through your mouth. Again, like that. For 3 ohms. And then we're going to begin practice down on our backs today. So go ahead and draw your knees in, snuggle yourself down. I'll adjust the lights for a little bit. Give yourself a little rock around just to gently loosen up some of the muscles in the lower back. And then open your arms and let your knees roll over towards your right side. And it's still early in practice, so it may not be a really deep twist. Just let your legs roll over to a place in which you don't have to hold on to them too tightly. And take 3 more deep breaths, relaxing with your exhale. And bringing your knees in and rolling them over towards your left side. When you get there, try to find a place where you can kind of relax the control over your shape, releasing your right shoulder. Take 3 more deep breaths, giving your exhales over to softness. And then coming back to the center, set your feet down and then put your right ankle onto your left knee. You can stay here or reach your right arm in between your legs and hold on to the left thigh. And just relaxing your pelvis back down towards the floor as you continue with that steady rhythm of breath. And even at the points that you notice, which may happen once or 10 times today or for the rest of forever, when you notice you lose the breath, you're not sure if you've been carrying that steady rhythm anymore, instead of berating ourselves about it, we just go back to it. Take the next breath. And then you're going to take your right hand, hold on to your right ankle. You can do whatever you want with your left foot, probably put it down on the ground. You're going to take your left fingers and you're going to massage into your toes. If you can get your fingers in between your toes, it may not be super comfortable, but it's going to expand them in a slightly different way. It might be more effective, but you can also just kind of, this little piggy went to market. Yeah. Just to get everything moving around in there. And then you'll extend your right leg up in the air. You can even hold on to the back of your thigh and just make some circles around with your toes so that you're moving in the ankle and moving in the other direction. And then release your right foot and set it down on the floor, taking your left ankle up onto your right knee, your left arm in between the legs and holding on to your right thigh. The other one. Oh, this way, yeah. Yeah, it is hard to see. And I have no idea which one my right and left are most days. I spend so much time reversing things when I'm teaching classes that I can't follow a GPS without looking at it. It's bad. One more exhale like this. And then you're going to hold on to your left foot. Go ahead and set your right one down and then take your fingers and you're either going to this little piggy went to market all over your toes, or you're going to try to weave your fingers between the toes. Feels wildly unusual. then after you've given a couple of wiggles and gotten uncomfortable enough for the moment, go ahead and release your fingers. Send your left leg up in the air. You can hold on to your thigh so you don't have to work too hard at it. And then roll your toes around in a circle so that your ankle bones are all moving and snap, crackle, and popping. And then move your toes in the other direction. And after you've moved around adequately, bring both knees into your chest. You can roll yourself over to your side or try to give one rock up to a seat. And I'm going to adjust lights again. Okay. So just setting your legs out in front of you. I'm going to take the arms up and try to lift up tall from your skeleton structure. So it's coming up from all of those bones. And then taking your right hand down, reach your left arm over and push your left hip down into the floor. One more big breath in and breath out. And then lifting up and moving over towards the other side. So as you lean over towards the left, you're going to push your right hip down a little bit more. One more exhale. And then lift up. This time we're going to twist over towards the right side. So I'm going to hold on to my leg and then take the right hand behind so that I'm supported, and then just soften your belly. If you want to bend your right leg a little bit more, you'll get a little bit more room into this. You can kind of pick your knee up and hold it maybe. And let your belly get a little bit softer as you exhale. And then relax your twist. And then you'll come to the other side. Take a lift up first and then twisting over towards your left. You can lift your left knee and hold on to it if that seems interesting. But if you feel good where you're at, you can hang out there too. Keep lifting up behind your ears and then just let your lower ribs relax in. One more exhale. Then relax that twist. We're going to roll over onto our bellies. So when you get in there, take your hands in by your low ribs and come up for a little Cobra Pose. And then check in that your jaw muscles and your neck muscles are relaxed, and see if you feel a little bit more open in your chest. And then exhale, soften it down. And then try to lift up again, trying to keep your jaw muscles and your throat muscles soft. Exhale, lower. One more time, inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. And then you're gonna push yourself up so that you're coming up onto your knees, and we won't be on our knees for very long. We're gonna take a little bit of a kind of a swoop around, getting a little bit of a half camel pose. You can leave your right hand down at your hip and take your left arm up, and then do a little swoop as you exhale and inhale, reach the right arm up, and exhale and inhale. And exhale and inhale, and just go one more time each side. Try to lift your hips forward. And then come on down. Now you're going to take your hands down. You're going to curl your toes under. And you're going to walk your hands back, and you're either going to say, wow, that is plenty for me to have my toes curled under, or you can try to get my knees up. If you think that I'm crazy, you're right. Don't worry about it. Don't do it. Oh, take your feet back down. Bring your toes together so that they touch. It's going to help a little bit. Yeah. And you might come up here. Okay. And April, you're crazy, I'm not doing that is always an okay answer, but you might take one hand up. And maybe you take both hands up. And if you squeeze your legs together, you might have an easier time. And then go ahead and bring your knees back down for a moment. Untuck your toes. Give them a little drum roll. And then we're going to turn the toes under. I'm going to go kind of fast through this because I don't want to spend too much time with all this pressure on the knees and the toes, but see if you can bring both hands over towards your right side. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It can be the left side. And then go over to the other side. Yeah, and then come back out into the front. Gently set your knees down. Walk your hands out. Push from your heart down into your hands. We'll go into downward facing dog for just a little bit, just to get the upper body engaged and reaching the armpits down into those hands. And then bring your feet to your hands and your hands to your feet, coming into a fold and relaxing your head down. One more exhale. And then start to lift yourself up. That last one was mostly side crow. The only difference, you just had your feet still on the ground, but you know, it's good stuff. Good twisty things, compression, good for digestive systems. What else do I want to do before? No, I think we're good. Okay. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to move over there so that I'm kind of in, I think this is the easiest way to follow this. And if you feel like you're not sure if you got it right and it got a little bit weird, that's like part of the point, just to kind of be willing to be in that space. So you're gonna take your right foot forward and your left foot back. It doesn't have to be a lot, and you can always be down on this heel. It doesn't have to be up on the toes. But once you get here, you're gonna lift your arms up, and then you're gonna take a little twist open towards your right. And when you get into your twist, let out an exhale. Make sure that your right knee still faces forward. And then you'll come back to facing towards the front. Take a big breath in. You're going to turn the back heel in. So I'm going to open out towards this side. I'm going to set up so that all 10 toes face out and then my heels are in. And then I want my bum to be right underneath my head and the arms are kind of open like you're this a little like crazy goddess pose kind of shape. And then you're going to keep going to the back of your mat. So you're then going to come in to your lunge, lifting your arms up. And then check out your left toes and your knee and make sure that they're still facing forward. And there's a lot of wiggling that goes on. And then bring your hands to your heart and try to step forward to chair pose. So you want your knees kind of bent. And then just stand it up from there. And then we'll keep going same way. Take your left foot back. So your right foot is forward, coming into a lunge. And lift your arms up. And then you're going to take your left arm forward and your right arm back and you twist towards the right. So twist towards your front leg. And then come back to both arms up. Take a breath in. And then you come open into that goddess squat. So you're going to keep turning over towards the left. Your toes are out, your knees are in, your arms are up, your heart is lifted, maybe even the corners of your mouth are lifted. And then you're going to keep going back to the front of your mat, coming in to the lunge. And then bring your hands to your heart, lean forward. Everything but your back leg is already in chair pose, so you'll just let it meet up there. And then straighten your legs. And then we'll go back around the other way. So this time, take your right foot back. Come into the lunge and lift your arms up. Take a big breath in, and then twist to the left. So right arm forward, left arm back. And then inhale back to the front. Exhale, goddess pose. So we turn open. There's a lot of feet adjustment. It's a whole new pose, whole new foundation. And then keep going to the back of your mat. And again, we got to adjust the right foot to get the knees and the toes facing forward. And then hands to the heart, step forward to chair pose. Just make sure your hips are resting back and then stand it right back up. And then we'll take right foot back again. And back to the lunge. Lift your arms up. Exhale, right arm forward, left arm back. So twist towards the left, towards the front leg. Then come back to facing, well, you're forward, back of the mat. And then goddess pose, keep turning open to the right. All the feet get adjusted. It's not smooth. It's not totally clean. We just wiggle where we gotta, and then move back to the front of the room. Move back into that lunge. A lot of feet dancing. Bring your hands together, step forward, chair pose. and then straighten the legs. I'm gonna do it one more time. I'm gonna add one little thing in at the end. Take your left foot back, come into your lunge, take a big breath in. Exhale, twist to the right. So always over the front leg. And then inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale into the goddess squat. Inhale, lunge back of the mat. And then bring your hands together. Try to step your feet together. And if they don't go together, then wiggle them together so that that chair pose has your feet exactly together. And then straighten your leg. And then you're going to step your left foot back again. So again, right leg is forward. Take your arms up. Inhale. Exhale, twist to the right. Left arm forward, right arm back. And then inhale, take your arms up. We're going to come to that goddess squat. Try to bring your heels in maybe a little bit more than you did last time. A lot of foot wiggling, a lot of in and out. Make sure your knees point out too and not as much forward. Maybe your toes come in a little bit more. Yeah. And then back to the high lunge facing the front of your space. Lift your arms up. And then bring your hands together, lean forward. You want to try to get your feet exactly together to touch. Good. And then you're either going to take your right hand to your knee and your left hand to your hip, or your right elbow to your knee. It's up to you. One more exhale. And then unhook your twist, stand all the way up, lift your arms up. And then bring your hands down to your heart. And we'll go all the way through the other side. So left foot forward, right foot back. Lift your arms up and find lunge. The last series of really intense standing nonsense. And then you're going to twist over towards the left, right arm forward. And then inhale, lift your arms up. Come back into that goddess squat. Knees and toes out. Yeah. And then keep going to the back of your space. Still more moving around the feet. Lift your arms up. And then bring your hands to your heart. Try to get your left foot to touch your right foot. It's in real close. Step them up there. And bend your knees, sit your hips back. And then straighten your legs. And then last time through, right foot steps back. So your left foot is forward. Lift your arms, take a breath in. And then right arm forward, left arm back, exhale. Inhale, reach the arms up, goddess squat, turning open into that wide shape. Dropping your bum down. Keep going back to the front of your mat, lots of foot wiggling. Lift your arms up. And then bring your hands to your heart, lean forward, bring your feet together so that they touch, even if you have to move them a couple of times. And then we're going to twist to the right. It can either be hands or it can be elbow. Try to push into both feet so that your left knee doesn't creep forward. Yeah. And then unhook your twist, unwind, reach your arms up, and then let your hands settle back at your heart. Good. You feel blood pumping, moving. Right, awesome. Move back to this way. It will also help to symbolize that things are a little bit less wild, but as much as I do, some days I'm like, yeah, we just need to move things. Good, I'm glad. And if it wasn't fun, it's over. So there's that too. Couple more standing shapes, nothing wild. We'll do some long holds. Take one foot forward, one foot back. Doesn't matter which one it is. Just make your legs long. Front toes are going to face forward. You're going to take your back hip and turn it towards your front toes. And then slide it down into triangle pose. You can lift this arm up if you want to, or leave it down. Yep. And nope, switch heads. Yeah, you'll just be facing towards Melinda saying hello. Yeah. See if you can push down a little bit more into the big toe knuckle on your front foot. And then bring that hand that's raised back to your hip, stand yourself up. And we'll just switch sides. So you got the toes at the front of your mat facing forward, the toes at the back of your mat facing in a little bit. Shift your hips back, take the front arm down. And then this arm lifts up. And reach your ears away from your tailbone and your tailbone away from your ears. And there's not really a right or a wrong way or a right or a wrong side to be doing this on because I didn't give any specific instructions. Just pick a foot. One more exhale. And then bring your hands back to your hips, stand yourself up, bring your feet back up to the front of your mat. Do just a little bit of loosening of the toes, nice and easy, nothing big. And then to the other one. This is, we're gonna do a small standing balance. I wanna make sure that the feet are fairly flexible as we go into that, although we've done a lot of that today. You're gonna bring your legs together, and if you wanna move so that you have something to hold on to, you can move so you have something to hold on to, but you're gonna take your left leg and cross it over your right leg, and then squeeze your legs together. You should feel them very tightly pressing together as your knees bend, and then your hips go back. And if you need to have one hand holding on to something, you can just bring one hand maybe onto your heart. You could also take your hands together. If you're feeling really solid, you can wrap your right arm on top of your left arm. But we can stick with just the legs here, and you really want to squeeze and sit them back. So you're like expanding your tail feathers. And then stand it up and switch sides. And we'll do the arms part of it a little later too. So crossing your right thigh on top, squeezing these, and make sure your hips are going really far back. And then you might take your left arm uncrossed on top, or you might hold on to something and bring a hand to your heart. You could bring both hands to your heart because less twisting is a little bit more manageable. One more exhale. And stand yourself up, unwind your legs. We're going to do another little balancing transition. If you want to hang out near something, we're going to take your left leg behind your right leg and then come forward into a fold. And you don't have to go down very far. You can just go down to where it feels reasonable. Maybe your fingertips are at your shins. Okay. And then knowing that your feet are in the wrong place, they are not used to being here. Your brain is not used to this. So you're going to keep the feet crossed and then start to stand yourself up. And then switch the cross of your legs. And come down into a fold. This fold you might feel it a little bit more on the outside of your back thigh. You're trying to bring yourself to a place where your breath might get a little bit more soft, and like, okay, cool, I'm used to being upside down for a moment at least. And then knowing that your feet are in the wrong place, so it gets weird, start to stand yourself up. And then unwind your legs. And then we can come back towards the front of our spaces. And I take your right leg and cross it behind your left leg, and then holding onto your right wrist, reach it up and come into a side bend. Again, body parts are in the wrong place, so being was kind of present with that. One more exhale. And then coming up, switching, holding on to your left wrist, switching the cross of your legs. So go the other way. And then taking your arm up, reaching out longer through your left side. One more exhale. And then coming up, releasing your arms, unwinding your legs. And we're going to go towards that horse stance again, but we're going to keep hands at the inner thighs this time. So you're going to use the hands at the inner thighs to press your thighs outwards. And they may or may not go out super wide. They don't need to go out super wide. We're just going to move them to the wideness that they will go to so we can relax some of the inwards compression we've been doing. One more exhale. And start to lift yourself up. One more standing pose, toes facing forward, wide-legged forward fold. So going down as much as you like, you can stay up here with straighter arms or start to bend yourself in. You can bend your knees if that feels better in your back and in your hamstrings. One more breath out. And then bringing your hands back to your hips, standing yourself up, gently bringing the legs in. And then we'll come down to a seat. Go ahead and bring the soles of your feet towards each other and your knees out. And if this isn't feeling great and you want to take a small, wide shape, then that would be a good alternative if knees and hips are off. And then if you want to adjust the flesh so that it's definitely not stuck underneath you, and then you'll lift up from the backs of your ears. And if this feels good, you can stay here. If you want to pull yourself in more, if that's something that's available in your body, you can go that route, but it doesn't need to go very far. It goes to the place where you have some sensation, some stretch. Find the softness with your exhale. One more breath out. And then sit yourself up. Extend your left leg out in front of you. Draw your right leg in, and you might keep it in close to you. You might cross it over. If it doesn't cross over, you just keep that leg in. And then you'll hug on with your left thigh. Take your right fingertips behind you and lift from the backs of your ears. When you exhale, soften the belly and move into that twist. One more breath out. And then relax your twist. And take your left leg out, or your right leg out, draw your left leg in. You can cross it over or not cross it over, but you'll hug the thigh, bring your left fingertips behind you for support, and then lift up taller with every inhale and soften your belly a little bit more with every exhale. One more breath out. And then unwind your legs again. You're going to take the left leg out. I'm going to bring the right leg in. And then you might open the knee up here. You might put your ankle on your knee. If you put your ankle on your knee, hold underneath this knee just to make sure that it doesn't get too wonky. If you can cross this over more though, if it will, and sometimes the knee and the hip and various things are going to say, nope, not happening, but I'll be on the pinky toe edge of the foot. Then you're going to take your chest forward. So it might be here, it might be here, it might be here. I'm going to try to bring my chest forward. Yeah. And a lot of those variations are going to get deep into here. Just one more exhale. And then lift yourself up, take that leg, unwind it and extend it out. And then moving into the other side. So it's either going to be open here, even if it was completely different on the other leg, because this is a new body part, new experience. It may cross over, it may not cross over so much. And then as you come forward into the fold, finding a place where you feel something and not worrying about what it could or should look like, what you imagined it would look like by now, what you imagined it looked like at some point. One more breath out. And then come on up. I'm going to unwind this leg from whatever you've wound it into and take your feet not super wide, just like a little bit wider than your hips usually are. And then come forward. You're either going to be able to get your elbows onto your thighs, and then that's a pretty good place to go. If you can get them to your shins, that's also an option. But like elbows onto your thighs is gonna be good. If elbows are not going onto your thighs, then take your hands behind you and kind of prop your torso forward. And then put significantly less effort into whatever you are doing. Just giving a chance for the body to kind of unravel, to turn inwards. Two more breaths. And start to lift yourself up. And you want to find your own comfortable seat. So if you like to sit crisscross applesauce, great. If you want your legs a little bit wider to prop you up, legs straight, any of that is good. I'm going to come to having eagle arms. And so you've got a couple of options. Take one arm on top and you can either make this like superhero kind of gesture or the hands wrapping up. Okay, cool. Hands wrapping up. And then just let your elbows draw down and forward as your ears pull up. Spend kind of a long time here just noticing where the resistance points are because they'll come up. It might be in the way that you're holding up your torso or the way that you're holding your breath. There's all kinds of places for some weird tightness to creep in, and it's okay for it to creep in. The body seems to always want to be doing something. It's like Pema Chodron says, when meditating, when you notice that thoughts arise, you don't think, oh, I'm a terrible meditator. You think, thinking, and just acknowledge what it is. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And start to unravel your arms. Just take your fingertips back behind you. Let your chest lift up and forward, your shoulders roll back, maybe your gaze goes up. And then let yourself soften out of that. I hope you remember what arm you were on. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure it's that way. Was it? Oh no, okay, I'm this way. And then again, elbows drawing down as the ears lift up. Taking two more breaths like this. And start to unwind your arms. You're going to take your hands back. This time, change your feet so that you have the soles of your feet down. And then you could be on your hip, on your wrist, you could be on your fingertips. You're just going to lift the chest up. And feeling the heart moving forward into the front of the rib cage. One more breath in. Exhale to soften. And then you're going to come down onto your forearms. When you get onto your forearms, you might give a little scooch into your bum so your tailbone is pointed down. And then push down into your forearms, let your chest rise up again. So you want your heart to be lifting you up like you're inflating the front of your rib cage. Very open. Big inhale. And then exhale, you can soften your chest. Go ahead and come down onto your back. Bring your knees into your chest again. I'll adjust the lights. And leaving your left leg somewhere that's comfortable to you, take your right leg into your chest. And you want to hold on behind your thigh. So if you want to make the leg straightish or straight, you can. If you want to leave the leg really bent, you can. I'm just going to gently bring the right leg in towards the chest. And then not necessarily keeping the leg as close to you as it is now. Start to straighten the leg and notice what happens. For me, it moves away pretty significantly. And then I bend and I can get the leg a little bit closer, and then I start to straightish the leg. Just kind of feeling the way that that changes. Maybe you can even feel the movement and the extension of your hamstrings against your hands. And then you're going to take your right leg across the body into a twist. Try to leave the leg kind of long. So it might be sort of like straight. Maybe the foot comes down to the floor. Maybe you need to move it further away from you, but you're just going to take the leg up. So did I say over to the right? I meant over towards the left, across the body. And this gets, again, pretty deep into that outer right hip. One more exhale. And then bending your right leg so you can more easily take everything back to the center. And then grab your left leg in and hold behind your thigh. So behind your hamstring there. You might move it around a little bit, just giving a moment for that hip to relax. And start to play with extending the leg and softening the leg. Just examining what happens there, what the function of the limbs are, what muscles you feel, what impact it has on your breath. And then keeping the leg mostly straight or somewhere not super bent, you're going to take the left leg across the body over to the right. It might go down to the floor. It might have to go down a lot away from your face. And it's a pretty deep twist. So letting your belly soften. One more exhale. And then you'll bend into your left leg, taking everything back to the center so your back is flat on the ground. And then your feet are going to widen more than your hips are. So take your feet about at mat width apart or so. And then let your arms stretch back behind you. If you want to hold your elbows, you can hold your elbows. If that bothers your shoulders, it's no way necessary to do. So we'll lift the toes up towards the shins and then let both of your knees go over towards the right side. Your left knee is not going to be on the ground at all. In fact, reach that left knee out and away from you so that you're really getting a nice long stretch through the front of your hip. One more exhale. And then taking your knees up and over towards the other side. This time your right knee is not going to be on the ground, but you're going to reach it away from you. So you're a little bit longer, a little bit more spacious in the front of your hip. One more big breath in. Big breath out. And then come back to the center. You're going to bring your feet in a little bit closer now. So they're more like hip width apart. They're not wider than the hips anymore. Try to get your heels tucked in pretty close to your hips. Bring your arms down by your sides and then start to snuggle your shoulder blades together underneath your back. Then push down into your feet, lift your hips up a little bit. If you want to go further, you can. If you want to stay there, that's okay too. See if you can wiggle your shoulders in a little bit more. You can take your hands to the sides of your hips to lift them up, or you can hold hands underneath your back. And we'll just take one more breath in this bridge pose. And then start to relax your shoulders, let your hips relax down to the floor. Wiggle your feet out a little bit wider again and let your knees knock against each other. If there are any other poses, any other adjustments that you need before Shavasana, or if you need to grab a sweater or socks again before you settle back down and allow for a couple of minutes of rest, go ahead and give yourself whatever you need in order to be prepared for that, to feel cozy and comfy. I've got plenty of time for a nice long Shavasana. This is always my intention. You're welcome to stay in softness a little while longer. I just have one more thing to read. In recent seasons of being, I have had occasion to reflect on the utterly improbable trajectory of my life, plotted not by planning, but by living. We long to be given the next step and the route to the horizon, allaying our anxiety with the illusion of a destination somewhere beyond the vista of our present life. But the hardest reality to bear is that death is the only horizon with numberless ways to get there. None replicable, all uncertain in their route, all only certain to arrive. This is why there are many infinitely different kinds of beautiful lives, and why each and every one of them, even the most seemingly actualized, trembles with a staggering degree of doubt and confusion. Uncertainty is the price of beauty, and integrity is the only compass for the territory of uncertainty that constitutes the landmass of any given life. And so the best we can do is walk step by next intuitively right step until one day, pausing to catch our breath, we turn around and gasp at a path. If we had been lucky enough, if we had been willing enough to face the uncertainty, it is our own singular path, unplotted by our anxious younger selves and untrodden by anyone else. As you start to come back into your body and make some small movements, taking some deeper breaths, eventually rolling yourself over to one side and allowing yourself this moment of gratitude for coming onto your mat today and for experimenting and playing as we tend to, for being able to share this space together. When you're ready, come up to your own version of a comfortable seat. Bringing your hands up to your heart and sealing the practice, we release an Om together. Big breath in. Om. Bowing down to the love and light that resides within each of our hearts. Namaste. Thank you. Thanks for playing with me and letting things get weird. Bye. Thanks, Ruth.